Lessons from a Crypto Journey. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ainslie Insights, brought to you by ainslie.com.au, the home of Ainslie Bullion, Ainslie Crypto, Ainslie Wealth, and the Gold and Silver Standard. Be sure to have a look. Today, welcome a very special guest for her debut on Insights. She's one of our superstars from down the Melbourne office, Julia. You've been down there for a little while. Customers will be familiar with you. First time on camera. How are you going today?
Hi, Chris. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really good.
Look, I was so excited to get you on here because you had such an interesting story. Now, for people who don't know, they might be coming in, they might be working with you, talking about their precious metals and what they should buy and whatever. But deep down, you're a bit passionate about crypto. You love to talk about it.
Yep.
And that was why I was like, I need to get you on here because I think people will really love to hear a little bit about your crypto story. It was a little bit funny. I thought it was entertaining. Talk to us about your background.
Tragic.
How did you get into crypto?
Okay, so it was back in about 2015. I went on a date with someone. And it was back when I was in my 20s, and he was driving a really nice car, like a Ferrari, had a Rolex watch, had just bought a brand new house. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like he's an engineer, but I'm pretty sure engineers don't make that much money. So after getting to know him, he sort of divulged to me that he was a really early investor in Bitcoin. And I'm thinking, Bitcoin? What's Bitcoin? Because back then I had no idea what it was. And he told me all about it. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, this is really cool. For a couple of reasons. Like I loved the idea of being your own bank, and just decentralized finance. So he convinced me to invest in it. Now, the mistake I made is I definitely didn't invest enough. However, I did invest just a very minimal amount. And I left it on a centralized exchange. Now, it would have been maybe 5 years later, I completely forgot about it. So my idea was to dollar cost average into it. And then silly me kind of read something in the media and I was like, oh, I'm not sure. This seems a bit risky. So I forgot about it. Him and his name is William, we actually became really good friends. We didn't work out romantically, unfortunately. But I did go to his wedding actually in the end, which is an interesting story. But yeah, we became really good friends. And then 5 years later, he said to me, hey, Julia, that Bitcoin, do you still have that? And I was like, I think I do actually. And so I logged on to FTX. So to our audience that may be familiar with FTX, that went pear-shaped. So I logged on and it was there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my return, I think I put in at the time, literally only $50 and it was upwards of $10,000. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like that's incredible. This is obviously a very, fast growing asset. So I started to really get into it at that point and I studied it and I'm sort of was like, wow, okay, I really need to just, start investing more into this. And I ended up thinking I was really smart and not actually, the mistake I made was I ended up staking it on a centralized exchange. So I took it off to FTX, which was very lucky because FTX went into liquidation.
So you did avoid that. You avoided that one.
I avoided that one. However, I then looked into different platforms and I staked it with a centralized exchange, thinking that was clever to be able to then gain an interest off it. But now, since then, I've learned not your keys, not your crypto is extremely important. And the platform I used was called Celsius. So that went into liquidation and I lost everything, which is a real shame. But I did get paid out a couple of years later. So the liquidators were a lot prompter than other platforms. So it was about 18 months later I got paid out. So I still... my portfolio was a lot more modest than what it would be. I mean, I'll just say I'd probably be in the Bahamas right now if it wasn't for that.
Look, it's just such an interesting story that so many people will relate to. Not necessarily all of that, and people will wish they were in earlier, but it's just so volatile, isn't it? It's a journey. That's why I sort of frame this as a journey because let's say you did had put more in at the start, that wouldn't have been in your favor anyway because you would have lost it. So putting a little bit in,
absolutely,
at least you can justify, well, I only lost a small amount of what I actually put in, even though it did go to much higher numbers. It's so challenging.
It was a blessing in disguise, and I look back now and I actually learnt a lot, a valuable lesson. And now I can't emphasize enough how crucial the security is with crypto. And so now I keep my crypto on a hardware wallet. I'm fanatic with it. And there's so many different hardware wallets out there. I personally use just a Trezor because I
Yeah.
think they're really good. It's a bit like Apple and Android. You like one or the other, a Ledger or a Trezor, and I'm all about Trezor. So, yeah.
So, what do you think? You mentioned at the start the decentralized aspect appeal to you. It was this idea of being your own bank a little bit.
Yeah.
Has that? Do you think that's grown over time in your how you think about it to what it was back then? Do you now think more that way? How do you view crypto generally now?
Absolutely. I think it's interesting now because especially this cycle, it's become now with all the institutional money involved
Mm.
and being part of the US Federal Reserve, it's changed things, and the liquidity is huge, right? It's become the fifth largest asset in the world. It's also surpassed Google and market cap. So I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to continue to dollar cost average in when the bear market starts next year. That's my plan. So,
So that's a good segue actually to
yeah.
how you view the purchasing of it, because
Mhm.
obviously, if you could time the market perfectly, like your perfect timing of the market originally was to put it away and not think about it for a period of time, and it did very, very well.
Mhm.
Is that how you view it these days, or that this dollar cost averaging idea tends to be that most people will make money over the long term if they just dollar cost average in? How are you viewing that now? Are you a little bit more timing? Are you a little bit more dollar cost averaging? Are you trying to combine both? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic too. I mean, if we did a quick comparison, say, just a hypothetical situation, someone putting in $100 a week, no matter the price, whether it's in a bear market, a bull market, and they take the emotion right out of it, versus someone who actually, they're watching charts, they're looking, and they're going, okay, when am I actually going to go all in? um, Dollar cost averaging wins every time.
Mm.
It's just a no-brainer. And I think the mistake a lot of people make is they trade with emotion. And if you learn to take emotion out of it, you can do really well. And I'm going to be honest, that's been really hard for me as well. But I've learned so much, and I now have a plan. Like I'm just going to everywhere. And I did do that for a long time, but I've stopped at the moment. But because Australia's become expensive, so I have calls, etc. But yeah, I think just dollar cost averaging every week, even just a small amount, it's the way to do it, in my
It's
opinion.
it's so frustrating for many people that I'll call it the dumb strategy of just dollar cost averaging a little bit each week does outperform
It
these
does.
people who are just watching it all the time and dedicating so much time and effort to it.
Yeah,
I think everyone believes they can outperform
they
the
do.
market, but really it's only such a very small percentage of people who can. And
It's true.
I mean, that's just such a big lesson for so many people of just stop thinking you can do better and just keep buying it. Just keep buying, buy the dips.
And studies have shown that this is a lot more successful than actually timing the market. So yeah, it's a
What do you
no-brainer.
think? So, digging a little bit deeper into
Mhm.
like where maybe you think we are currently in the cycle, I'm interested in your
Mm,
perspective on that, because you mentioned that maybe next year um,
yeah.
is the end of that.
Look,
How are you thinking?
Uh, no, I don't have a crystal ball, and I do think that this cycle has been interesting and it has changed things a little bit. I mean, let's take the price of Bitcoin today. Our top was 120. I always go by USD, so 124,000. I think our top was just, gosh, when was that? 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now
Mm.
today we're sitting at 111,000. Um, so historically, September has been a little bit slow and has been a bit of a downtrend in the past sort of if you look at the 4-year cycles. And then they say, there's a famous saying, October. So I do think that we will rally again in October. And I do believe, look, again, I could be wrong, but I do think that, yeah, the bear market will still start in next year. Maybe the end of the year, maybe the start of next year. I don't know, around then.
But
Um,
isn't that the beauty of having that dollar cost average approach?
exactly.
Because ultimately you can have a speculation, like you can
Yep.
be speculating, you can have an
I
idea,
could be wrong.
but you're still going to sleep perfectly well at night because you're going
Exactly.
to catch it either way.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of exchanges that offer that now. And, just to dollar cost average in every week automatically. Don't even think about it.
Mm.
Yeah. And obviously you can do that at Ainslie as well.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do that, and actually from our own sort of data, the ones that tend to be the most successful are the ones that aren't overthinking it and just buying a little bit each
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd see them all the time, I suppose, people
Yes.
coming in, and it really is quite
They
interesting, isn't
don't
it?
ask the price. They're just like, okay, hey, today I'm buying X amount. Yeah. So definitely.
So, so one last question, just to sort of pick your brain on where you think we might be going. When you look at AI and some of these things
Mm,
that could be coming in the future, does that make it harder when you talk about this trading aspect? I mean,
mm.
my personal view is that the AI is going to be smarter than everyone in all this stuff. So trying to beat it, like it might even reinforce further this idea of just DCAing and just buying the dips because you're really competing against super smart intelligence that can operate really, really quickly. How do you think about the AI aspect of that?
Well, I've personally started AI trading, which is kind of cool. It's something that I've just been, I belong to an education program that's, they've built an AI automation suite. And so it's very new. And so I'm just dipping my toes in
Yeah.
personally. And, so far the trades have been really good and I'm upwards of it. I'm not making huge money, but yeah, I think I've closed, if I look at some of my trades, 27 of them have been in the green and there's only been a couple in the red. So it's pretty amazing, but it's very new. So I'm not sure.
But do you also think like that it's probably a different angle to my question, but really, if you don't have those advanced tools, you're
Yeah.
competing against people who do. Like it really is
Mm,
going to change the dynamic of trading, and to be able to even do it at all, you probably need to do just what you've done, dip your toe in only if you want to play with it.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's all I'm doing at this point. But I mean, AI is taking over fast. So you've got to learn about
Yeah,
it really. So yeah.
yeah, and to sit there and think you can read the chart faster than the machine is always a bit of a challenge, I think, for a lot of people.
It's a little bit audacious to take a risk like that in AI, but I think also why not? You know? So
I love
mm,
it.
watch
Look,
this.
thank you so much for your time today. I know you've said that you'll come back and talk to us a little bit more about some other crypto angles as it comes along. We'll be looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, I'd love
it's great to sort of get your background there. And I know people when they come in will go, oh, okay, we'll go have a chat to Julia about. Now we know a little bit more about that background
your tragic
of
dating
crypto
story.
and yeah. But these lessons are hard learned, and it's valuable if you can speak to someone who has learned them the hard way because the idea is that the rest of us can then figure out how to not do it that hard way. So thank you for your time on that. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Thank you everyone for watching. We'll chat again soon.